Okay, so I am typing Johnette Napolitano from Concrete Blonde. She's not one of my favorite singer-songwriters. She is my favorite singer-songwriter. And where I'm starting from typing her is probably self-pres sexual, probably 7w6 with 8w9 and 4w5 fixes. But we'll see. I might change that as I go. So she visually kind of looks like 8-9 space, 9-8 to me, but she sort of has that grimy pixie, grimy goth pixie aesthetic that I want to say is in the 4-7 social blind realm. So yeah, like self-pres sexual. I think she lives in the desert now. And I also just anecdotally, like, not that other people aren't into these topics, but she's sort of into all the shit that I lump in with 7-4, where it's almost like, because you have the 7 part, the head aspect, where it's like lots of novelty, lots of exciting things, lots of weirdo things, spiritual out there stuff, and then the 4 image identity of being separate, being, you know, like original, being esoteric, blah blah blah. So I think that there's something that kind of they amplify each other in some weird way. And like Johnette was born in Hollywood, California, and has toured the world as the main voice and bassist of the Los Angeles rock band Concrete Blonde. A respected and prolific songwriter and recording artist, Napolitano is also a gallery artist and has studied art in Mata, Ortiz, Mexico, and flamenco in Spain, as well as having contributed to group shows in LA and New York and solo installations. This is too much. Yeah, so she memoirs, stories, poetry, lyrics, essays, tarot, music. She probably does all kinds of other fucking weird shit that she's clairaudience since childhood. Deeper than any psychotherapy, or at least as valuable. And she's doing a children's book about animal spirits. Like, I love this. This just kind of reinforces the archetype in some ways, of sort of, yeah, like how I see the 7-4. I do think 8/9. I know that like some of the shit you could be like, that's 90, that's very 90 of her. I don't think so. She's got too much gusto. I think it's 9. I think it's 8/9 in the gut. I think they're easily confused when someone's like a positive type with withdrawn. Like, I think that I've been trying to tease apart the differences with 7-4 with the different with 1, 8, and 9 combos for a while now. So hopefully this will bring me closer. Also, just this thing that went down, I'm like, this doesn't seem very 4-7-9 of her, in the sense of sparkly fairy. I feel like she's got to have a little bit of a gut punch. So I remembered this from ages ago because I thought it was fucking hilarious. So this was like 10 years ago. This fucking like basic bitch restaurateur used the title Concrete Blonde, like the band name Concrete Blonde, for her fucking restaurant. And Napolitano tweeted, "Are you the cunt with the Concrete Blonde restaurant?" You don't fuck with my band or my fans, not unless you pay me, and you know it. I don't even have a TV, but you have no idea what can be unleashed. I have no idea who you are, but you can't use that name. These are some 8-fix threats. She just got rolling. I hope that Johnette doesn't find this video and get mad that I did a video on her. We've been ripped off enough. I'm in NYC next month. You want to throw down? Get a name for your own fucking restaurant before ripping mine off. To me, this is some fiction. This is where I really started to notice the differences between me and some of the other like people who are the 4-7-9 try. I type as 7-4-8 because I have this whole thing about this too. This is mine. This is mine, and I think it's 8 influence. Loser bitch. I'll take an apology and a check monthly for every month she has that place open. I think she's like nuked her Twitter since, because I went and looked at it before I started this video. This is largely unprepared though. But she does have that, like, I don't know, dark artist gremlin, don't fuck with me. But I'm still little and cute. But I'm scary. I don't know. I feel like there's this sort of thing that happens. It's like little gremlin who will absolutely fuck you up if you like try to fuck with them. Anyways, this is the one that like, if you don't know who Concrete Blonde is, that you would probably recognize this song. I don't know if this will actually let me post it online, but we'll see. And this is a beautiful song, even though it was the popular one. It's a beautiful song. And this is like her newest album from last year. So this is a solo album, I believe. Like, she's still got it, man. It's like fucking so consistent too, like her sound. And she like this newer stuff almost is like you can kind of feel this building upon her work that almost like just starts to become even more like this kind of like shamanic, like desert influence. Like, you'll hear it. I don't want to be like reductive to artist's original work at all. But there's sort of these threads that you can start to pick up on typologically, and notice some of the 4/7 stem artists, not all, can have this sort of circus of the depraved or something. Like, there's this, maybe it's social blind influence actually, but there, because the 7/4 stem, 4 and 7 together is like the bipolar sort of combo, where it's sort of like swinging between darkness and buoyancy and light. And I think that self-pres sexual self-pres might go even a little bit more mad with their expressions, like where there's this sort of even more sort of simmering, chaotic lunacy to it or something. I don't know. It's a terrible expression that I don't think she's self-pres social. I feel like she's self-pres sexual. Just aesthetically, there's a lot of self-presy shit in here. Focus on things, objects. But she has like that self-pres sexual sort of grimy. She lives in the desert. It's like underworld, like, wow, what am I even, how long is this going to scroll? Okay. She's still got it.
Opportunity. Thank you for the opportunity. This is a beautiful place, and I really want to come back here and stay for a while. I had no idea how beautiful it was. Even with all this, I think it's even better.
Yeah, I hope tomorrow you get sun and you'll be able. Will you be here tomorrow?
Yeah, I get sun all the time. To me, to see the ocean and the mountains, and it's just great. It's great. Yeah.
It's your first time here in Florianópolis.
Wonderful. It's beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you are a complete artist. I mean, you are a singer, great bass player, guitar player. You paint also, right?
I do a lot of little things, maybe not so well.
And you're also a dancer.
So yeah, she's kind of got like the 6. I entertained 6 for her even at one point, because she does have that humility, but I think 7/6s can really like pull that humility piece out, especially if there's a 4 fix where it's like, oh, I'm not that good at it, you know?
Yeah, flamenco.
Absolutely, yeah. Flamenco dancer and singer.
Are you gonna dance tonight for the guys?
You know what? I can never plan what happens on stage. That's something I pray every time I go on. Just tell me what to do and I'll do it. Sometimes I'll throw chops. Sometimes I just don't, but.
There is something with the 4/7 stem that does feel like otherworldly. And so there is this like feeling of connection to the divine, especially 7 cores. If there's like something like 4 or 9, maybe, there is this feeling of connection to. And I also think 7 cores, if they have a 4, a 9, or a 1, can feel this like divine sort of connection to the other worlds. There's something else out there. There's something, and it's not like the 6 kind of framework of religion, you know what I mean? Where it's like, these are the God's rules. It's more just like this feeling of like, there's something else out there.
You are also engaged into a lot of movements, like We the Planet, and
Absolutely.
do you think that important for every artist to do this kind of.
No, I'm not a fascist. I don't dictate what other people eat, say, or do. And
Yeah, and this is also sort of what also put me away from her potentially being like a besides that she has kind of that 7-wing-6, 6-wing-7, like buzzy, chaotic sort of energy a little bit. But 7, like the core tenet of being a 7, regardless of whatever your fixes are, is like basically like, yeah, I'm not going to tell other people what to do. It's like freedom, freedom of choice. I don't have to agree with you. I don't care. So that's also another point for her being core 7 or 7 in the headspace.
I think it's very important. I don't think being militant about anything has changed anybody's mind. I'm not going to do that. I live the way I live. If you find something in it, that's great. But I do believe that the main concern is our planet. I do believe that the main concern is health of our planet and ourselves. And I'm very grateful to people like Julia Butterfly and Woody Harrelson.
This is like 20 years ago, very ahead of her time. And now that it's trendy to care about the planet, and it's only trendy because the 1% with their corporate interests want to control the planet, so they convince you through this climate change narrative that you're basically going to be forced into these 15-minute cities and have no rights anymore and be drinking cockroach milk. But I digress. 20 years ago, this was relevant because the big corporations are polluting. They still polluting. They've fucked us all up. We're all full of fucking plastic. We're all eating food that's been sprayed to death with glyphosate. And everyone's fucked basically, and they're poisoning us all the time through many outlets, spraying in the sky, injections, all the things. This is a solo episode. It doesn't represent the views of all the goblins. Get a grip on yourself.
Harrelson and people who are out there, Susan Sarandon and Sean Penn, who are out there risking everything to speak out.
Sean Penn's a bought and paid piece of shit shill, though. I do want to add. I'm pretty sure he's sex trafficked, so fuck you, Sean Penn.
You know, we can't say things in America. We really can't. The media won't let us, and I'm very grateful to be able to express that here. And thank you for asking. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's part of our job. People who
we don't have the planet, if we don't have it, yeah. Okay, exactly. If we have the media, right? We have a little tiny place in the media. We're not, you know, that we don't have a chance against the giants. So when we have a chance to say something, I find it is my responsibility to say something.
You could put that with social self-pres, sure. You could put that with superego, sure. I don't think that it necessarily is, because I think that there's also like a piece of 4 that has this sort of compulsion too. It's not like talked about, or maybe other people won't agree with me, but I think 4-wing-5, maybe more than 4-wing-3 can get like very political without the social aspect or the superego extra things, because it is like it's orientation towards the opposite of whatever is popular. So I think subconsciously you start noticing things that other people don't. You start poking holes in things that other people don't, just reflexively because of the personality type. Like people like often like 3s, like attachment meaning 3, 6, 9, superego meaning 1, 2, 6, where like a lot of the time, if they don't have these sort of wild card influences like 4, 7, 8, they're less likely to actually speak out on things that matter. They're only going to be speaking out, I'm being reductive, but they're only going to be speaking out on things that will help their fucking image or are already popular, you know what I mean? Where they're not going to get blowback. And I've noticed this anecdotally just in my own life. They don't want to rock the boat, or if they're going to rock the boat, it's going to be in a way that's acceptable to rock the boat. You know what I mean? Where people are already like, oh yeah, we're all primed for your activism. It's like, it's meaningless. It's not real activism. It's not coming from any place of actual disruption or truth. It's just coming from what already exists. You know what I mean?
I don't think it's every artist's responsibility. Not everybody is made that way, but I think it's mine. That's all.
Because she is an actual artist. She's an actual artist. This is what actual artists do, just for anyone tuning in who don't know this because they're like 20 or something. And they've been brought up on Netflix propaganda, and this is an actual artist. An actual artist.
You're doing your job. Yeah, you're doing your part, and very well. What are your expectations for the show tonight?
Hopefully that I get through it without fucking up.
Yeah,
In case of any show,
I'm
should
sure.
I hit that damn chord right? Because I always screw something up.
To me, that's like a 7w6 or social blind laugh. That's like a
So I don't.
All right. You know, some people have a friend of mine that is a big fan, as I am, of your band, of you. She has mentioned that you were like a better James Joplin. Do you know that? Have you ever heard such a thing?
Well, I'm not sure that's quite fair because Janis Joplin died when she was 27.
Yeah, that's exactly what she said. You were James
Yeah.
Joplin that survived, that made it through.
I'm not sure. I don't think. I think it would be pretentious of me to predict what Janis would be doing. I did actually co-write a song with her on a record I did with Mark Moreland from Walla Voodoo, who died a couple years ago, unfortunately. But we did a record and we had some Janis Joplin lyrics that no one had ever heard, and I worked on them. Yeah, and her family didn't like what I did, so I did 2 versions of these songs, and they still didn't like it.
I think like Janis Joplin's like 974 maybe, or she might even be 794. I haven't looked at her for a while, but
She would have been very into rap. I think she would have been very into soul,
probably 9 though.
into modern soul, like Lauryn Hill. I think she would have been really into that if she were alive today. And you know, she was always
And
influenced.
this is another, like, not that everyone only likes artists that are similar type to them, but there is like this sort of gravitational force that I've noticed because I've kind of been down the 4-7 combo rabbit hole now for like years. And there is like a kind of overlapping pattern where the like famous people or artists like with the 4-7 some tend to gravitate towards each other. She's also like facially expressive, which is more in the 6-7-7-6 realm. Not that all types aren't expressive and whatever, but it's like there's tends to be more of like a activity on the face.
Concrete Blonde. I mean, it's just an honor to be here.
Well, thank you.
And the story we're working on is kind of the history of music, rock, you know, in particular. And
But she's got the like self-pressed sexual sort of like like hair that she's sort of hiding under, and you could 9 that if you wanted to, but I really think she's A-wing 9 fix. She has, it's kind of like she's got this sort of, yeah, she's got a don't fuck with me vibe. She's like friendly and she's nice, but she has like very much a don't fuck with me kind of vibe to her.
seems like a lot of the fans are not finding a whole lot of new stuff, and they just keep going back to you know, the bands that they're used to and the bands that they grew up with. And you've got some fans that absolutely love you. And so I'm trying to figure out you know, what was that winning combination? How did you
Where
get
I
started?
fit in all this?
Yes.
Well, if you're talking about a 30-year career with the band, so there's been a lot of changes in the world.
I'm just aesthetically here, and she's got like all the tattoos. Like this is reductive, but a lot of like self-pressed sexuals for some reason have like tons of tattoos all over the place.
In us and in the industry and music, but when you say there's not a lot of new stuff, there's tons of new stuff. There's more ways to find new music now than there ever was.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem to be breaking
Well,
out. Like,
in anybody in market.
And right there, now she's dominating. I don't like what this is. This is a combo of, I think, reactive and frustration, because it's like 7 is a frustration core, reactive is 6-4-8, so she would be 7 wing 6. I'm gonna go 8-4. I think she's probably gut second, rather than heart second, which just means like what the personality is favoring, how it's expressing itself. Because her to me her music is very like in the 4 space, like but and that will come out through creative expression, the trifixation, but the fact that she's just like, it's like this is this is a thing. It's like a combo of reactive and frustration where it's like, I don't like what you're singing, so now I'm gonna like take up more space to make sure I get my point made, and you shrink under the weight of my energy. It's not like consciously that's what it is, but that's, I think, subconsciously what's happening.
will tell you this, is that people always tend to go back to, that's why they sell music to kids, because no one ever forgets their teenage summer. And
Right.
you're always going to go back to the music of your teenage summer. So nostalgia is pretty built in, you know what I mean? That's why they want young people. You know, everybody will go running and screaming, why do they sell music to kids or cigarettes to kids or anything to kids? Because once you got a kid, you got it for life.
Yeah.
So that's just the way it works.
And I love that she's calling this out, because she's a musician who's benefited from this system, and she's still fucking like calling it out. And again, to me, this speaks to like her being four in the heart space, seven in the head space, doesn't give a fuck, like, I don't, and 8 in the gut space. It's like, I'm just gonna fucking say what I want, and I don't care if you like it or not, Sony or whoever, or audience.
So I know that there's a lot of music out there, you know, I'm hearing great new stuff all the time. It's just almost too much, you know, between the internet and indie radio and you know, YouTube. YouTube is amazing. They're able to discover things. I mean, there's some serious gems back there, you know. And so I don't know. It's you must always redefine yourself and where you are, and try to keep it. It's a real delicate balance in keeping real, like your place in the world, but also knowing enough what to discard in order to maintain whatever inner voice that is giving you the music. You know, it came to a point where if I was going to keep making music, I had to move out of the city. I haven't had a TV in a long time, so I'm kind of always straddling between, you know, living under a rock and knowing pretty much what's going on in other places, and then choosing what not to care about and what doesn't affect me and what I don't want to be influenced by.
So yeah, I do think this is speaking to her being self-pres sexual, like self-pres meaning, especially with a withdrawn heart fix, it's like wanting to like hole up to create your artwork, pulling back. Social doms and even social seconds are often like creatively juiced by other people and like the chaos of what's going on around them. And of course, like even social laughs can be inspired by that kind of thing, but I think especially at a certain age, you like just hit like a wall where it's like, I don't want to do this anymore. And then also the way that she spoke about kind of cutting off her influences, I think it's funny because I relate to this, and I've brought this up before, and people have said like, oh well, that sounds almost like attachment, like cutting off your influences, but it's not. Like to me it's like you're curating your outer experience to curate your inner experience, where it's like, I don't want this infiltrating like the specific creation that I'm making. I don't want other people's ideas. I don't want other people's whatever. And it's not like saying that like, oh, I'm just going to absorb it because I'm an attachment type. It's like I'm curating an experience for myself by limiting all of this other stuff that I don't want to infect it in any way and make it like not me, or like not the thing that I'm trying to go for. This is another side anecdote here. If you haven't noticed, my sightings are always very anecdotal.
And I guess that's, you know, I don't know.
Well, I mean, you following your career.
Also, self-pres sexual is kind of like a stoner thing, and she's doing these things that are very like kind of stonery, like.
I mean, nobody has really told you what to do.
That's a little while ago, and I think we fucking do it. It's a birthday.
Yeah, they tried, but
Yeah.
but even like with your videos, I mean, record companies tell you to do one thing and you go against it and you prove them wrong. I mean, that's
Yeah, not just for the sake of doing it either, because I'm aware of that aspect of a rebellious personality, which to say the very least I was raised to be. Hi, Dad. That you must know when you're cutting off your nose to spite your face. It simply became physically impossible, or it's always been physically impossible to be anybody else except who I am and who we are. And
yeah, and I think this is like, she's triple hexad, meaning like not attachment. So And I think that that's like kind of the blessing and the curse, is that you are just so well defined of you. It's like, this is who I am, and you can't adapt to the outside world. And so it can be really hard for some people, because the world doesn't, because the world is primarily made up of like attachment heavy personality types. It can be hard, especially for creatives, if you can't make money doing your creative passion. Like, it can really feel hopeless, because it's like you don't really fit in any other aspect, where it's like trying to put a square into a circle, and it just never doesn't feel uncomfortable or awful.
And what is the point of success? You know, always, what is the point of it? Even if you did have a hit record, or even, and it's not your music, and it's not your face, and it's not your clothes, and it's not your thing. I mean, that's a good way, you know, to wind up on a shrink's couch for 30 years. You know?
Unless you're an attachment type. So yeah, again, this is more to her being 7 and 4 and 8. She does seem really 8ish to me though as well, and I'm like, I'm trying to rectify. I'm trying to like make 100% sure that she's 7. I don't think she's 7 wing 8 though. I don't think she has no 6. Like, I think 8 fixes enough to give her like that embodied I know who I am kind of thing. 7 wing 6, she does seem like kind of spinny in the headspace, and like goofy kind of, and silly and self-deprecating, which is not really a thing that I would put with 8 core. But yeah, I just want to make sure I'm like solid on this typing. Also, self-pres dom is 8ish, in that it creates like a wall. So it creates like a rejection sort of wall in some ways, where it's like my energy, my instinct, like how am I being affected, like, and cutting stuff off when it's not like giving you what you want, and like self-protective.
And beat yourself up and all that. So yeah, I have to say we have been right, even up to a couple of years ago. You know, we were out doing the reunion tour, the bloodletting tour. By the way, that record they wanted to reject. When I turned in that record, they said, "We don't hear a hit. You need to go in and record 6 more songs." And
also, just to talk about her body language, this is sort of, there's a thing I think that, I mean, again, any type can do this, but 7 wing 6, I think, can start getting just really kind of antsy, talking about, if it's not like just something that they're like super focused on, where they're just sort of bouncing around in their thoughts, they start to externalize it, and then it becomes this sort of like ADHD sort of thing.
I basically, you know,
Yeah.
fuck them off.
Yeah, same thing with the video on that one.
The same thing with the video. They did
Yeah.
not want to make that video. And
Yeah.
I looked at the contract. You owe me a video.
Yeah.
And so we did make that, and that was ripped.
Again, like, not nothing. She's like making her demands. I signed a thing, you're gonna give it to me. Also, 7's an assertive type, so she would be double assertive with withdrawn, and then a withdrawn instinctual stacking.
Ripped off wonderfully by Iggy and
Right.
yeah, and Candy, yeah, it was like the same video, except it was Kate from B-52s and Iggy. But I like,
And pointing out that people copied her. So yeah, I definitely think 8 second. Why I'm going 7 wing 6 over 7 wing 8 with 8 fix is, I don't think she's 7 wing 8 9 4. Archetypally, she doesn't fit that. She doesn't feel fluid, soft enough. So 7 8 4 is kind of more, 7 4 in general is like kind of chaotic pixie energy. It's more up in the air and psychedelic, and with 9 fix. With 8, it's more grounded, and more like diabolical almost. Like, not to say that 4 7 8 tries are like somehow evil, but they have more dark energy. They're more tapped into the darkness, and they're not like as afraid of it as, like, say you would if you have like a 1 fix perhaps, or like maybe like a 9, where there's just sort of this unabashed, like, embodied, like, what, like, I don't give a fuckness. And I think she's 7 wing 6. I don't like see a ton of sixiness, other than she's self-deprecating, and she's humble, but she's still very located and like very stating her opinion. And yeah, she seems triple reactive adjacent to me. 684 makes sense to me for her.
Her one little chick here is like, I'm making it my bitch tonight. Here. But I think it comes from a place of not having anything to lose. And not caring. I've never had anything to lose. You know, I've been working since I was 14. I've had to work on my life. And I have nothing to lose. And this I've known since
yeah, and I want to say this is actually part of the 478 try in some ways. Because I think that there is this feeling of like, who gives a fuck? Whether it's because it's like the nature of reality itself is just like whatever, none of this fucking means anything unless like it only means what I make it mean. I'm in charge of my own, like I'm only responsible for myself and my experience. And I think that the nothing to lose, I don't give a fuck thing could, I think, probably also just be 7-8 space. And the four wing 5, I think also alienation, where there's this sense of alienation sort of baked in anyways, where it's sort of like, I don't want to fit in, I'm not going to fit in, so what I do doesn't matter. Like I am just going to be myself because it's worse to try to be something I'm not. Like that feels more violating and horrifying than just having nothing to lose and just fucking living your life, you know?
I was always interested in words and things, you know, art. I've been an artist since I was a kid, you know. So it all sort of fits together in my world somehow. But the point is like there is, like you asked me before we started this, everybody's looking for a formula, you know, and there is not one. There is no formula. Or Sting famously said there are no rules. That's why we do this. If I wanted to live by rules, I would. And you know, the thing is too, I've seen it.
And the way she kind of hops around, like it mentally hops around, is I think in the 7 wing 6, 6 wing 7 space, like it's double head energy. It's very like bing bong, bing bong. Like I'm having my own, I'm talking to you, but I'm talking to myself. And I mean, I don't have a strong argument for self-press sexual over self-press social because she's not, I don't see her hooking, to be honest, in any of these videos. Although I do think there's something about her stage presence where there is a sort of element of self-press sexual chaos where she is using like sexual second, like licking the guitar and just being sort of like she's like doing this sort of like thing to the to the audience. Yeah, I don't like, but this is a pretty bizarre combo too. Like I don't know. Oh, I guess like we typed Vincent Gallo self-press sexual 7 wing 6, 4 wing 5, 8 wing 9, and I think that typing's right. But I think Vincent Gallo's 4 second, so 8 second adds more like sort of force and like kind of like a masculine quality, I want to say. Like there's a sort of conqueror energy, a sort of more gutty. And I think when 8s last, I'm making this up right now. In my 7-4 studies, I think that when 8 is last, it's like less tethered to anything, and it's more just this reactive thing that flops up from time to time when the person's like annoyed or something, and it's not as embodied. So it's like 7-4 is going to be more in the like image headspace. And then if the 8 get like the instinct boundary aspect of it gets activated, then it's like like a chihuahua.
Sting famously said there are no rules. That's why we do this. If I wanted to live by rules, I would. And you know, the thing is too, I've seen it get more, even on the artist side, more uptight and more I don't want to say corporate because that's not really the word, but more like straight edge. Like this isn't a 9-to-5 job. This is rock and roll, you know? I mean,
curious what she thinks about all the woke stuff actually, because that's nonstop rules, honey, and I don't like it. I mean, other people can't make you do anything anyways if you're an artist, so it's just annoying when people are trying to impose it on you because it's like flies that you have to keep fucking swatting away. And it also is a buzzkill. It like ruins the party of being a creative person. Like when people like the hall monitors are coming out and telling you how you should be making your art this way, you should be like make sure not to hurt people's feelings, you should be and being inclusive, you should be like blah blah. It's like, who are you? You're not even an artist. You're literally just a hall monitor who's now in the arts. Like you actually don't belong here. This video is probably gonna get us some unsubscribes.
I've never thought of doing anything else. It wasn't like, gee, if this doesn't work out, I'm gonna go back and live on daddy's money, or I'll just like go back. You know, I have nothing to fall back on. I never had anything to fall back on.
And so I also think this shows that she's not self-presbyterian because yeah, I think if you're sexual, social, or social sexual, it's like a little bit harder to be able to create that baseline for yourself.
And when you have nothing
And also gut second.
to fall back on, this is all I do. This is all I'm ever going to do, you know. Or who said if you love your job and you'll never work a day in your life, you know. I've paced it well enough now. In the old days, I did do more cooperating than I wish I would have, or I didn't know any better, you know, like when they'd stick us out on the road for 7 months at a time, which is not healthy for mind or body or spirit. And, you know, by the end of 7 months, we're beating the hell out of each other. And I never want to play music again, and taking off to, you know, Europe for a month or whatever, and just running around like a crazy gypsy, and compromising my health seriously in the process. I want to enjoy what I do. I want to enjoy my band. I want to have a good time at this. The way to do it is to pace. So at this point, I'm having a good time because I don't want to be away from home for more than a week.
I think that that's actually like a life path journey for sevens, and it's probably intensified with more chaotic, like if there's four, like because 4, 7, 8 as a trifix is self-destructive in itself. And I think and 7 is like a scattered type where there's sevens are like kind of low impulse control, just baseline. Oh, it feels good, that's fun. Oh, fuck it, why not? I'll just drink the whole bottle. Like, fuck it, why not? I'll go to the party. I don't care if I have to like, and you could, and maybe like some self-pres sevens, especially self-pres social 7, like 793 or something like that, 713 wouldn't be as like it would be easier, you know what I mean, for them to keep some sort of semblance of like consistency in their life. But I think when you have like 4 and sexual, maybe it's probably throws a bit of a spanner into the works. So and then you end up like the 7 thing is you run out of road, and then you're like, fuck, I fucked myself, so now I have to figure out a new way to exist. And it's honestly hard. Like people who aren't 7 don't understand it. So yeah, Johnette Napolitano of Concrete Blonde, and she also has solo music. So yeah, check out her music if you want. I almost didn't do this because I don't actually want anybody else listening to my favorite music, but she is a really good musician, and Concrete Blonde is a really amazing band. So you could check them out if you want to, and it would probably be a very beautiful experience for you. But I just want you to know that it will never be as beautiful or meaningful as my connection to Concrete Blonde or Johnette Napolitano. So suck it.